Did you know that you can own a London black taxi? Yes, you can actually buy one of these iconic vehicles. And in today's episode, I'm going to show you how, and more importantly, how much. You're in for a big surprise. Stay tuned. Over the decades, these vehicles have been exported all around the world to places like Shanghai, Bangkok, Los Angeles, Sydney, Australia. Some are used as taxis, of course, but others are put to different uses such as mobile coffee shops, photo booths, wedding vehicles, advertising, promotion and private tours. Many second-hand taxis are bought up by film production companies and used in their features. The London Black Taxi also had a famous porn channel themed around it. It was called Fake Taxi. It was a huge hit because of this iconic vehicle, not because of the guy who came up with the idea. But some people just want to buy a black taxi to own themselves, and even some famous people have done that, such as Stephen Fry, Kate Moss, and even Prince Philip. I'm lucky enough to have made my way to King's Cross Taxis, which is north of King's Cross. And I'm with George Jackson, an old friend of mine who I used to rent a cab off. George, can you tell us a bit about how you started in the taxi trade and how long you've been in it?
I've been in it about just under 50 years, and I started by washing cabs down there on Nathan Mews.
And then when did you make the transition to actually decided to buy a fleet of taxis and rent them out?
Well, I was a dustman.
Oh yeah.
I worked for the Marylebone Council, and I worked for them for about 15 years, something like that. But washing the cabs, I got to know people down there.
Yeah.
I was a fairly good mechanic myself, so I decided to take redundancy. Started off down there on Nathan Mews, moved from there to Sherland Mews to a different garage, and then on there to King's Cross, and from there to Scrubs Lane.
And that was Scrubs Lane, the garage where you had the most vehicles to look after?
Yeah, I had 65.
65. And to run a fleet of taxis like that in London, basically you're the proprietor, the owner. You've got to repair them, insure them. What do you have to do to run a fleet that size?
Well, you have to do everything. You insure them, which is the heaviest part of it. I mean, I did the mechanical side, body repairs, spraying, that type of thing.
Right, so today I've come up here, do you know what, because a little bird told me that you've got a taxi for sale.
That's correct.
A classic TX4 has come off the road, hasn't it?
Come off the road, yeah.
Now, can you tell me why taxis come off the road in London and how long they're allowed to work in London for?
Well, this is the thing. Was allowed 15 years.
Yeah.
That was okay. And all of a sudden, they spring on us and tell us there's only 12 years now. So this particular cab, I have 15 years on it.
Yeah.
Now, I've only got, it's finished because it's 12 years old. So it comes off the road.
So you've lost 3
years.
You've lost 3 years.
You get no compensation for it at all, nothing.
What happens now? Do you sell this taxi to another licensing district in the UK, or do you sell it privately?
Sell it privately. You can't go back on the road as a London black cab.
Right.
It's finished as that.
So this cab here that we're looking at cannot go back on the road, so it has to be sold privately.
That's right.
Right.
Or scrapped.
Or scrapped.
Yeah. If
right.
You can't sell it because of this new law now, they're charging you X amount of pounds to come into London. So you have to sell it outside London.
And basically that's what we're here today, is to look at this TX4, give it a test drive, and at the end find out how much my friend George here is going to be selling it for. Let's go take a look. George, when you're buying a second-hand taxi, what am I looking for in the engine compartment? Ladies and gentlemen, Tom the taxi driver from YouTube.
Fancy seeing you here,
And
man.
fancy seeing you here. What brings you here, Tom?
Well, I thought I'd come and have a look at the classic TX4. We're now at that tipping point where the TXE is now the king of the ranks, and I want to go down memory lane and get under the bonnet of one of these iconic vehicles.
Hey, why not? Because I've got to do a test drive as well. Why don't you get in and do a test drive?
Let's do this together, yeah?
Relive the experience, eh?
Awesome.
If I'm buying a second-hand taxi like this one, what am I looking for just to make sure that it's in good condition, engine-wise?
You must always, first thing you do is check the oil.
Yeah, yeah.
Make sure that's okay. Check the water
Yep.
and give the battery a little nudge. Make sure nothing's loose on it,
Yep.
and that should be okay. Providing there's oil in it and it's on the right level, you know it's been looked after properly.
Okay, Tom's just jumped in. How does it feel?
It's just classic, isn't it? Just you and the cab. Like, there's none of this other stuff in the way. It's just pure driving experience.
And some memories come flooding back?
Yeah, the way how the steering wheel is not quite centered with the,
Oh, okay.
and you've got that weird thing where you can't stretch your left leg out.
Oh, yeah, because that's different in the TXE, isn't it?
Yeah, you have that plate where like any automatic.
So
car, but-
it feels narrower.
well, this is the thing. It's smaller, but it's roomier in a way.
Oh, okay.
'Cause
Okay.
the TXE has you've got a lot of plastic and it's kind of more cockpity sort of feel.
Yeah.
Whereas this is much more open, but it is a lot smaller in many ways.
Shall we see if it starts?
Give it a go. When I was doing the knowledge, you'd see taxis come past, you could hear that diesel engine, and it's still an iconic sound. You haven't got to look to kind of hear that diesel.
It feels small. The seat's comfy from what I remember. That feels all right. Reversing, there's not much in the way of sensors, but hey, this is real driving. Engine sounds pretty good. The steering, not as smooth as the TXE. Didn't expect it to be. The vehicle overall is smaller. It feels like a smaller coat around me. The vision is, well, it's always been pretty good in the TXs. You do get the authentic driving experience in this vehicle. Just parked up here with Tom. We're just going to do a quick inspection of the back, see what sort of condition it is. How's it look to you, Tom?
It's pretty. For a cab that's done a lot of miles and a lot of years, it's pretty robust.
Yeah, Tom, I think we can check the seats and we can check under seats. There's clips on either side. I remember that.
Oh, you lift.
Yeah, lift up. Yeah, let's see what sort of condition it is. Oh, they look all right, don't they?
There's 20 quid under it.
You're joking.
That's
Hey,
fine.
got the keys, and you need the keys to open the boot on this diesel TX4. Let's find out what we've got inside. Spares behind there, isn't it? That's it, the spares behind the ramp extension. There's no holes in there or anything, no leaks, no fluids, so yeah, good to go. As you can see, this black taxi, I assure you, is black underneath what they call advertising wrap. That can be taken off pretty easily and pretty quickly, so don't worry, when you do buy a second-hand taxi, it will come in black.
I like the power steering on this because it's like just enough. With the more modern vehicles, the power steering kind of does too much of the work. It's too easy, whereas this, it's not heavy by any stretch of the imagination. It feels like I am turning the wheel.
And this vehicle was made in 2008, so it's 10 years old, and it was purchased for around about £38,000 to £38,000.
Power steering's good. I just want to stretch my leg out.
It's just going to be very interesting to see how much These vehicles are sold on the second-hand market privately. Let's get back to the garage and find out. We've made our way back to the garage, and Tom, that test drive was incredible, wasn't it?
Awesome. This is such an awesome vehicle.
It is, isn't it? And for me, it was a real blast from the past. I mean, just sitting in that vehicle again, it's just a completely different feeling. The nostalgia starts running through your veins, doesn't
The
it?
connection with the vehicle, that you're on an actual engine and
Yeah.
there's mechanicry going on there.
Yeah, and you're getting pulled along. It's so different from driving, you know, the electric vehicles. Well, now this is the bit, George, where we have to talk turkey.
Right.
How much is a second-hand taxi like this? How much is it, or how much are you going to sell it for?
With an MOT, 800 quid.
How much?
800 quid.
Is it? No.
800 quid?
Yeah.
Drive an iconic taxi that's been around London, had countless numbers of
Those
celebrities and people inside of it.
That's it.
And this
Yeah.
is as iconic as.
That's all you'll get.
So you can own an iconic London taxi for £800. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. First of all, a huge thank you to George Jackson from King's Cross Taxis. Thank you, George. You're an absolute legend. There's nothing you don't know about the taxi trade. Oh yeah, and don't forget to check out Tom the Taxi Driver's YouTube channel. The link is below. And remember, until next time, stay tuned.